I, Kristen, am the unfortunate woman who had her honeymoon ruined by her husband, Oliver. Many people would find this thought almost unimaginable. However, my story will change your mind. My husband and I met when I joined a new job in a big city. I was fresh out of college and was offered a good job at a prestigious company. Oliver was also an employee there. I later learned that he was the son of the owner. His mother, Bonnie, was kind of my boss. However, unlike many mothers-in-law, Bonnie was a very sweet and caring person. It was easy to see where Oliver got his personality from. Oliver and I were in a happy relationship, but there was one problem that just won't go away. The problem in our relationship was his best friend, Betty. This woman also worked in the same office. She was in a separate department, so I never had a professional relationship with her. I got to know about her from Oliver. To be honest, Oliver had all the nice things to say about her. Naturally, I was excited to be friends with her. But when I met her, I was shocked. She was an absolute witch. She said, "Hi, Kristen. So you are Oliver's latest love interest. Look, you are nice and all, but it's important you know your place." "What do you mean, Betty?" "All the girls before you have never tolerated me. Me and Oliver have been close since childhood, and our beautiful relationship made everyone jealous. Of course, he always chose me over them, so I should warn you about offending me to Oliver. I will always come first. Kristen, Betty is my best friend and always has been. I hope you two can get along. I value both of you a lot." Alarm bells were blasting in my head. However, I chose to ignore them. Oliver did tell me to get along with Betty, but he also said the same thing to her. However, I knew that this woman was bad luck, and I tried to keep my eyes open. Me and Betty never became friends. That was mostly because of her doing. I often invited her to hang out with me. However, she never wanted to go out with me. Instead, she preferred crashing my dates with Oliver. She showed up to our dates almost every time we were out. Oliver never sent her away or drew boundaries with her. Oliver and I had multiple fights about this. I said, "Oliver, you need to do something about Betty. I'm tired of her crushing our dates. This is ridiculous." "What can I do, Kristen? I can't just send her away. That'll be too rude. Besides, she is lonely and doesn't have a boyfriend, so she likes spending time with us." "She only likes spending time with you, Oliver. I have asked her to hang out with me, and she has declined every time, but she somehow shows up to our dates. You need to stop telling her about our plans. This is not normal." "Okay, Kristen, I will try to do something, but I can't just push her away if she shows up. You know she is important to me." Since Oliver didn't want to cut Betty off completely, I had to compromise. However, he did promise not to tell her about our plans. Betty's interruption stopped, but she got sneaky. Every time we were out and Oliver wasn't responding to her texts, she would call him and fake emergencies. Oliver, being the idiot he is, ran to her every time. "I can't begin to tell you how many dates she has ruined like this," I said. She even dared to tell me, "Did you see how I managed to ruin your date yesterday? You should be used to it by now. Oliver will always be mine. You will always come after me. You are manipulating him with your emotional blackmail. I know you fake emergencies to destroy our dates. You have no shame." "Betty, I fake emergencies, and still, Oliver comes to me. Watch my words, Kristen. One day I will steal him from you. I know how to keep what is mine." I was shocked by Betty's audacity. I wanted to tell Oliver, but I had no proof. Betty smartly cornered me in the office so that I didn't have any proof of our conversation. Besides, I knew Oliver would make excuses for her. He always said, "She is just lonely, Kristen. Have some empathy for her. You know she has mental health problems and needs me around." She needs to get her own man, Oliver. You cannot be a proxy for the rest of your life. It is affecting our relationship." "That is a mean thing to say, Kristen. I have been working on putting boundaries. I need time. This is all very new to me. If it was someone else, I would have left. This relationship, I'm here because I love you and genuinely want a life with you." It's not like Oliver didn't put in any effort. He was a great boyfriend to me. He even started to put down boundaries and stop telling Betty about our dates. However, Betty always found a way to manipulate him. Back then, I thought that I had a chance. Oliver did love me a lot, and I loved him just as much. Even Bonnie became close to me and already saw me as a daughter-in-law. She was critical of Betty and didn't like her manipulative ways. When Oliver finally proposed to me, I said yes. I did want to have a life with him. He was already trying to distance himself from Betty, so I had hoped. However, Betty wasn't going to let him off that easily. As soon as she heard about our engagement, she ramped up her manipulation. I came across some of her texts with Oliver. She said, "Can't just abandon me like this, Oliver. How can you get married when I am alone?" "I'm not abandoning you, Betty. You will always be important to me. I love Kristen, so she's important to me as well." "She's taking you away from me. You have already reduced contact with me. I can't believe you're marrying her. You betrayed me." "Don't say that, Betty. I would never betray you. I'm always here for you, but I can't leave Kristen hanging for long. I want to have a family with her." "Yes, and I won't be part of that family. I can't believe you would do this to me. I'm already having panic attacks throughout the day. My mental health is in shambles, Betty. Please take care of yourself. I'll never forgive myself if something happens to you. Believe me, Betty, I would never abandon you. I will always be here." The rest of the conversation included Betty playing on her mental health while Oliver tried to comfort her. I could see that Oliver was getting sucked into Betty's drama again. However, he always told her that he wanted to marry me and wouldn't budge on it. So again, I held on to the hope of having a good marriage. Bonnie did warn me about Betty. As I have said before, she disliked Betty a lot. I wanted to know why Bonnie was so against Oliver. Things became clearer when she told me, "You need to watch out for Betty, Kristen. Now that you are engaged, she will try everything to destroy your marriage. She is dead set on having Oliver to herself." "I know, Bonnie. I'm trying my best. It's all on Oliver now. If he can't set boundaries, it will be useless." "It's not like Oliver didn't try, Kristen. This girl is smart. She manipulates him and has destroyed multiple relationships. She even refuses to date anyone or get help for her obsession. Oliver doesn't feel romantically for Betty, but he refuses to leave her behind." I took Bonnie's words very seriously. Bonnie confirmed that Betty did destroy his past relationships. However, I was determined not to get swayed so easily. I kept my senses alert and proceeded with the wedding. Oliver did try to include Betty in the wedding preparations. However, I shut that down quickly. After that, he handled Betty on his own. Bonnie also made it clear to him that she wouldn't tolerate him disrespecting me for Betty. With everything set, me and Oliver were ready to get married. Oliver begged me to have Betty as a bridesmaid, but I refused. I was afraid Betty would ruin the wedding. It's not like she didn't try. On our wedding day, Betty showed up in a white cocktail dress. My stupid husband went and complimented her. Everyone stared at her in disgust. My best friend was planning to spill wine on her dress. However, I stopped her because she could do it. I didn't want us to stoop to her level. Watching Oliver get married to me was enough consolation for me. After me and Oliver got married, we left for our honeymoon. I thought that we had left Betty's toxic self far behind. We had a great time at the beach city we visited and were genuinely enjoying ourselves. However, soon my joy would be snuffed out. Just a few days into the honeymoon, Oliver got a call from someone. He went away to a secluded area to talk. When he came back to me, he looked upset. He then said, "Kristen, I need to go home immediately. There has been an emergency. You need to leave now." "What's wrong, Oliver?" "It's a work emergency, Kristen. They need me back at the company immediately. I just got a call from the company." "But you are on leave. They know that." "Why are they calling you when there are so many people around?" "Because I am more experienced, Kristen. They don't want anyone else. Look, let me go back now. The hotel is still booked for 3 more days. You can just stay and enjoy yourself. That way we won't be losing any money." "But I want to go back with you. Do you want to leave me behind?" "Don't be ridiculous, Kristen. What would you do at home when I will be at work? We will lose a lot of money if you leave now. You stay here and enjoy the honeymoon." "Yes, my husband wanted me to have a honeymoon by myself. The work emergency couldn't be avoided, and he had to leave the next morning. I begged and pleaded with him to take me with him, but he never agreed. That's when I knew something was seriously wrong. I've been with him for years and easily knew that he was hiding something. So when he went to sleep, I snooped on his phone. Lo and behold, he never got a call from work. It was Betty who called and told him to come home. How am I so sure about this? Well, I found some pretty damning text messages between them. For anyone wondering, no, there were no work texts between them. This is how the conversation went. "Oliver, please come back. I'm begging you. I can't be alone like this. You know I am lonely. And still you went off on your honeymoon for such a long time. I knew Kristen would steal you from me. I will be back soon. Don't worry. It won't be a long time. It wasn't possible to cancel my honeymoon, Betty. You know I would never leave you alone like that. Please come back, Oliver. I'm starting to get sick. I'm anxious, having panic attacks. If you don't come soon, I might end up hurting myself. I will know that you don't care about me at all." No. Please don't do that. Fine. I'll come back tomorrow if this is what you want. I will make it happen. Just don't hurt yourself." So this woman purposely tried to sabotage my honeymoon. And what does my husband do? He freaking cancels everything and decides to fly back to her. Guys, at that moment, I was done with Oliver. I realized that I will always be the third person in his life. He could never look past Betty and her needs. Even if he said he didn't love her, it was clear to me that he would always put her first. I was devastated. I loved Oliver, but he went too far. I was done being walked all over, so I made a decision. I was going to get an annulment, but I also decided not to make a scene about it. I quickly took some screenshots and sent them to me. Then I deleted any signs that I had sent myself the evidence. I knew I needed the evidence to get revenge. Also, I didn't want to leave Oliver any chance to twist the real story. I prepared everything and went to sleep. The next day, Oliver flew back home as promised. I intentionally stayed behind since I was already ready to get an annulment. I didn't bother begging to go back with him. Instead, I called my best friend and told her to come and spend the rest of the vacation with me. She immediately agreed, and I booked her flight the same day. What Oliver didn't stop to think about was the fact that his mother noticed everything. She casually called me at night and said, "Justin, why is Oliver back in the city? I saw him at the house when I was driving by. What is going on? Did you guys return early?" "No, Bonnie. It's just Oliver who went back. I'm still on our honeymoon." "I won't be coming back, Bonnie. I'll go straight to my mum's house when my vacation is up." "What? This is very confusing. What happened, Kristen? Tell me everything. Why did Oliver leave you there and come back before your honeymoon ended?" "He told me he had a work emergency. When I asked Oliver to take me home, he refused and said that I should enjoy myself. "Nonsense! There is no emergency at the company. I would have known if there were any. Even then, no one would have called him back. Hell, he hasn't even been in the office today." "That's because he lied to me, Bonnie. He went back for Betty. She begged him to come back and emotionally blackmailed him." "Are you serious? He did do that again? Did he leave you for her on your honeymoon? Oh my God, Kristen, I'm so sorry." "I have all the evidence, Bonnie. I'll send them to you once we are done talking." "I'll be getting an annulment. I can't stay with him anymore." "I understand, Kristen. Everyone asked you to stay with my worthless son, but don't worry. He won't go unpunished. I will take care of it." We talked a little more and then hung up. I knew Bonnie wouldn't let him go so easily. My plan was already in motion. I didn't care what happened to Oliver. In my mind, he completely deserves it. A few days passed, and I had a blast with my best friend. The day before I was supposed to return, Oliver texted me and said he can't wait to have me home. All these days that he was gone, I didn't get a single text or call from him. Probably because he was busy comforting Betty. I didn't even care anymore. I wanted to laugh at his stupidity. He thought everything would be well. The next day I flew back to the city and went straight to my mum's house. Oliver kept texting me and trying to get in contact with me. I ignored him throughout the day. When his calls grew frantic at night, I finally picked up the call. "Oliver, where are you, Kristen? I'm worried about you. You haven't been picking up my calls. Are you okay? When will you come home?" "I won't come home, Oliver. I know why you left me on our honeymoon. There is no way I can overlook your insensitive acts anymore." "What are you saying, Kristen? I was back because of work. There must be some misunderstanding. I have proof of your text with Betty. I know everything, and so does Bonnie. She is the one who confirmed that there was no emergency at work. Kristen, listen to me. You have to understand. I didn't have a choice. You saw the text. She was feeling very down. How could I leave her like that? She is my best friend." "And I am your wife, Oliver." "Oh, I was your wife. I should have come first. It wasn't even an emergency with her." "You broke my boundaries within a week of getting married. I have no hopes for you anymore." "I will be leaving, Kristen. Please hear me out. I love you and only you. I can't leave Betty because she needs me. There is nothing inappropriate between us. Please don't leave me. I don't want to lose you." "Please, Kristen. You can try and tell that to other people, Oliver. Ask around and see who agrees with you. You know how inappropriate you have been. It's just that you want the best of both worlds. That won't happen anymore. I'll send the papers for the annulment. We are done." I hung up on him while he tried to beg to come back. No amount of pleading or begging would keep me with him this time. He realizes how much he messed up, and I knew he would be paying for his foolish deeds. And so will Betty. I had already sent the screenshots to Bonnie. She told me that she had plans of her own, so she called me and said that she is planning to fire both Oliver and Betty from the job. She didn't want the dude to work in her company or profit from her in any way. Oliver did call me a couple of times. He also texted me saying that his mother had fired him and won't speak to him anymore. Now he is the one who is all alone. Betty also sent me a few texts to call me names. She told me that Oliver had cut contact with her and Bonnie fired her from her job. She berated me for ruining her life and taking away the love of her life. I simply replied that she deserved what she got. I was firm in my decision to leave Oliver. I prepared all the papers with my lawyers for the annulment. When I and Oliver met with our lawyers, he tried to beg me to stay again. He said that he had cut off Betty and understood how inappropriate he was being to me. I told him that it was too late. I signed the papers in front of him, and he did the same. He signed only because his lawyer said I would go to court if he doesn't agree to an annulment. I guess he no longer had the money for a court battle. Since everything happened, I have managed to move on. It's been 8 months since the annulment happened. Bonnie and I are still very close. We even hang out together from time to time. She told me that Oliver was still very heartbroken and refused to talk to Betty. Bonnie also said that she never gave him the job back and he was forced to join another company. Now he lived alone and lamented losing everyone around him. Oliver still calls me and texts me every day. However, I have never replied. As far as I'm concerned, our life together is over. I have managed to move on while he is all set to be sad and completely alone for the rest of his life.